Go on.
You've totally
Just
lost
go.
me there.
36.
Yeah. Welcome to Bragging Rights, episode 36. Hosted as always at Tribal and sponsored as always by Comscaf. So how you been this week, gents? Yeah, great response. Cheers.
Didn't even have time to pick up my mic.
I'm in a good mood, given results and going to the grand final this week. But those that listened and watched last week knew that Jimmy was pretending to be unwell. I can confirm he wasn't pretending because he definitely passed it on to me. So when I've been rough most of...
Skipped right past me who sat next to him.
Well, it's because he's a Rovers fan, so he spends a lot of time with us, you see.
Got it.
Wow.
How are you, Dean?
I'm alright.
Just alright?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cracking?
Laid any carpets?
Lots.
Wonderful.
Man of many words tonight, and he can tell he hasn't had to prep anything this week.
If there's no whole game, I'll just turn up and do what I want.
Do what I want.
Fair
What are you going
dues.
to do? Sack me?
Well, that's a valid point.
No.
But yeah, just take a minute. As
Yeah,
always.
I was fine as well, mate.
I don't
Yeah.
No, go on.
No, it's fine.
Just fine. Is that it? You're
Just
feeling better now?
I had the dregs of what I gave him to deal with earlier this week.
That's a worse, so I think.
Yeah.
I'd rather be fully ill than marginally ill.
No, I disagree.
Depends.
Carry on.
When you're at
Yeah.
once you've been ill, when you're at the ends and it's the dregs, you can see the light.
Nah, for me, it's like it's the worst. I hate
It's-
that bit.
The worst bit for me is the fact that I feel better, but I still get in bed and I'm like trying to get rid of it all.
That's a bit like how I am now at the end, because I was out on Thursday night at a comedy show, and
Was it funny?
it was very funny actually, but that's when I started to notice it. It was like the last 20 minutes you could tell he was wrapping up, and I was like sniffling a bit, and I was like, I don't feel great here, you know. this ain't going down well. I was like, I know what's going to happen when I wake
Was
up
it
in
one
the
of them
morning.
where, how many beers have I had? I haven't had enough beers to feel ill because of that. Like, oh no, I'm coming down with something.
Yeah, it was, cause I think I had a couple of beers, and I was like, what's going on here? So like I said, I tried to drink through it Friday and Saturday. Did not help.
Never does.
No.
Drinking through a cold never helps.
It's not cold.
Man flu, sorry.
It's killed
you.
lesser men than Josh, you know.
It
True
has.
that. Sorry,
and
anyways.
you, obviously, because you're still here to tell the tale. So.
Well, I'm doing this because I think it killed Susan.
Yeah, maybe. It's sort of become defunct a little bit in this last week. He doesn't know whether he's coming to go in, does he, bless him, this week.
New job
so-
and that, and bless
Yeah,
him.
that's what I mean. But yeah, just take a minute just to remind you all to like, subscribe, share an episode with a mate, 'cause it helps us all out massively. That's it, yeah. So, on to us.
On to us.
On to us. I'm going to get straight into it, because the first
About time. We're about 10 minutes in and all we talked about is colds and man flu.
10 minutes was a bit of an arm wrestle.
And carpets.
And
Okay.
beer. And comedians.
Yeah, and comedians, yeah. The list goes on. Anyways, the first 10 minutes was an arm wrestle, as we expected. I think we came out on top of that arm wrestle. We looked very well energised after that week off, which we was hoping would be the case. Sometimes it has a negative effect, but for us it didn't look to have had that negative effect. So I'll go straight in with the first big incident of the game, the Jared incident. Soft would be a word. Joshy grimacing there, but yeah, it was one of those. Like you see, it's frustrating as a rugby league fan, not just as a Rovers fan, because you see 10 to 15 tackles of that ilk, not saying exactly the same, but similar, every game, and nothing gets penalised. But because he's gone off with an HIA, which was quite possibly the player who came in over the top causing, I'm not quite sure who that was. But yeah, obviously, but because of Jared being Jared and his previous disciplinary issues and things like that, it's sort of left him no option, really.
I've got no gripes with Jared really picking up points for it. The reason that the ban was put in originally is because he only needed 1 point to hit the threshold to get a ban. So it's an accumulation of issues. There's a lot of conversation online about it being a shame that he might miss the grand final. We're going to get to that because we do know the outcome of the disciplinary, which we can talk about in a minute. But it doesn't work like that. You commit a foul, you get penalised for it. What's frustrating, obviously, is he wasn't penalised on the field, wasn't given us anything. And the more you watch it, the more it looks like there's nothing in the tackle. And also it looks like the HIA doesn't come about from that tackle or from that action. And it wouldn't be the first time this season that we've seen an incident where we believe a HIA has been failed from a previous incident. I'm struggling to remember who it was, but we saw heavy contact to a head on the floor.
Mikey
Mikey
Lewis.
against
Was it Mikey? I
Leeds.
thought it was Mikey.
Yeah.
And it's more likely that he failed the HIA because of contact earlier on, but he's had to go for head assessment later on and so on. Now, you can see Benison look around afterwards. He's almost looking to say, come on, ref. I didn't like that. It was on my neck/shoulder. So he seems okay, but then he stays down and he gets checked over and he fails a HIA. It's all a bit strange, really. For me, it's a crying shame if Jared was to go on to miss the final. I've said this many times. There's been a lot of jokes online about Wigan are hoping that the ban gets overturned because they want him in the team because he doesn't offer a lot. People, time and time again all season, have missed what Jared's brought on the field. We've spoke at length about off the field, what winning mentality he's bringing. And that's proven now.
It's because of expectation. People saw the name Jared Warrior-Hargreaves coming over and expected this blockbuster player to come in and absolutely dominate the whole of Super League. That's not what Jared's offered this year. And that's why people are saying he's a failure.
All people have seen is him running, not make the big heavy meters, not often bump people off, and get tackled. And they don't see that it's taking 3-4 men. He's getting so many men are coming in. A, because he's still a big bloke that's hard to get down, and B, they're going in on suspicion that he might do something dangerous. And that creates gaps, and it has done repeatedly throughout this season, where it doesn't look like he's done much in the build-up to a try, but he's laid the platform. And Wigan will be no different. They won't just commit 1 and 2 men to him, should he make the final. But I think, did you want to jump to Jimmy? Because you thought you had a real good insight into
Yeah, I
this.
just wanted to bring Jimmy in on this because I messaged you earlier, didn't I, Jimmy? And I thought it was a very astute point of view and quite logical for you. We've given how you wind me up quite often, and I'm quite prone to biting. So
I do want to say I do completely agree with your assessment so far. First 10 minutes, it was a bit of an arm wrestle, and then, like I say, Jared assaults Benison on the floor.
Worse than Custom Morg for me.
It was worse than Custom Morg. No. So for
There's
me,
no comparison.
For me, the way I saw it, I do think the number of points that he got given, harsh. It's not a grade C. It's not 3-4 points or whatever he got given for it. But like we all know that the system this year, you tot up. It's like your driver's license, isn't it? You tot up, you get a ban.
The system stinks.
The system does stink, but and that told. Just reading comments on like Reddit and Instagram and stuff this week, where there's like Aussies saying, "How did he get like 1 game for that, let alone 3?" And they're like, "Oh, people are trying to explain the point system." But that's by the by. If you've got 1 point left on your license and you're driving down the road and you're in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, you're gonna do 29. You're not gonna do 31. And it's the same logic with this. When you look at the tackle, even at full speed, Jared has plenty of time to adjust the way that he enters that tackle. And all he really needs to do is put his hands on Benison's back and complete the tackle. Put enough pressure so that Benison's arm goes down. Done. He didn't need to go anywhere near his head. He didn't need to give the match review panel any reason to look at anything and potentially give him points. And for me, I do think for Jared, it's a massive shame. The career he's had, it's one of them careers where you look back and think, God, I wish I could have done something as successful as that with my life. It's a fantastic player. I love the way he plays. I love any grub. You know, I love that grubby type of player anyway. So I love him for that. I love the way that he's been throughout his career, unwavering. I'm just going to knock you out of the way, and if you piss me off, I'm going to do something about it. But you have to adjust when you are 1 point off a ban.
I think you've got a great insight. I think everything you've said is pretty spot on. We're going to move on from Jared in a minute. I'll give you a quick rebuttal and then we'll get some breaking news on the situation. But yes, great insight. I do disagree overall, because if Jared was the type of player that was able to do that, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves would not be Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. We would not have signed him at 36, and he would not have had the career he had. He's made a career off running with elbows and knees, hitting hard, not being banned as badly as people think he's had over the years, but having a long rap sheet. And that isn't going to change after a 20-plus year career at the highest level and in potentially your last ever game or second to last ever game. So I understand your point, and it's a lesson for people in the future that they need to keep an eye on the points and think about big games coming up. But the reality is, Jarrod was never going to change. And, he would have been better off actually putting a swinging arm in and getting the 3 matches for it.
Yeah, he may as well have entered.
Rather than doing something so soft.
There was one earlier in the season for Hull. When we talked about the Ashworth thing, and people are like, oh, well, that was stupid. And then there was, my postman was like, well, if you're going to do it, at least do it properly. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that type of thing. If you're going to get banned, you may as well get banned for something that's worthwhile getting banned for.
Yeah, we've always said that, haven't we?
But I do think it's a shame. I would have preferred to see him on the field rather than off, not just because I think it'll help Wigan, but because as a player he deserves it.
Well, on that, breaking news, Jarrod has been cleared and is free to play on Saturday.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
Nice. That's great. I love the fact that I don't read anything.
I'm surprised you didn't hear us talking about it.
5 minutes ago.
Well, good, because it would be a massive shame without him in there. But I still stand by my point. If you've got 1 point left on your licence, don't go anywhere near anyone's head.
Incorrect. If you've got 1 point left on your licence, make sure your chairman is a solicitor. that's well done, Neil Hudgell, once again.
So what's the actual...
I don't know, that's just the breaking news. I think we should move on because we spent 10 minutes on Jarrod and there's still the game to run through.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's playing, that's the end of it.
Good.
But yeah.
Well, no, he might not get picked.
Might not get picked, but...
Available for selection.
Available for selection, yeah, shall we say. Just skip forward a couple of minutes later, and the next big talking point, the Wellsby incident. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because we've all got our opinions on this. Yellow card, penalty, yes or no to both. Josh?
It's a yellow card, it's a professional foul and a try scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jez made a bit of a meal of it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, Jez, for going over. But at the end of the day,
not well done. We don't like.
No, not
we
well
don't like
done.
The derby,
but
just, but it's.
I'm sorry, no, well done. I'm at the end of the year, and I'm sick of seeing teams get rewarded for it. We're seeing players go down, hold their heads, doing all sorts. So if that's what you have to do to get the ref to look at it, that wins games.
I don't like it full stop.
No, I don't. But you've got to play the game in front of you.
At the end of the day, it was a penalty. It was a yellow card. But can we start looking at players going forward about this frigging diving thing? Because every team's doing it. I'm not saying every player's doing it. There's too many players from every team doing it to try and milk stuff, and it's getting too football-y like for my liking. And
I agree.
So, but yes, yellow card, penalty, no issues.
Penalty.
Just a penalty. Yeah, that's fine.
Any
reason?
I agree with what you were saying in the chat earlier about the fact that John Wells spouts some shit. But I think
utter tripe, I think.
Yeah, utter tripe. In that instance, I think he was right. It was not a guaranteed try-scoring opportunity.
No, I do agree, because the ball sort of bounced towards a touchline more than
and there were other Saints players there that would have been in play.
Yeah, I don't think you can call it...
Took a big tackle to save that,
it would have took something special from those players.
Yeah.
But if you'd have took Wellsby away from that, you wouldn't have given a penalty try. In that instance, it's not like it's a guarantee that he would have got across the line.
I think this is one. If you was watching a neutral team and you just saw it happen, and you say by letter of the law, not only does Sailor make a grab at his shorts, but then Wellsby clearly does grab, you turn around and go, you can't do that. You can't pull a player back, whether it's light, whether it's aggressive, whether it knocks him over, whether he falls over, dives over. That's always been a sin binning when someone's making a break or a half break.
And he doesn't have to be able to score 100% score the try. It's preventing a try scoring opportunity.
Jez has no chance because he's pulled back after he's beat the man. There's no winger coming across because Sailor and Wellsby are two men on him and the winger's out of position. So Jez has got no one else to beat if he gets past them two. Yes, he's got to recover the ball. It's bouncing more to the sideline than it is to the try line. Maybe he was going to kick it on, maybe he was going to pick it up. We don't know. But at the end of the day, it wasn't like he did it on the halfway and there was more defenders there. There's him, 6 yards a grasp before a try line and two players trying to pull him back.
Again, it's the same with everything in rugby league. It's open to, interpretation.
Like I said, I don't think it was a try scoring.
I'm not looking at it and saying that yellow card's outrageous, but I think there is a world where that's only a penalty, and I think it is dependent on Who's got the whistle on what day?
In an NRL grand final, that was a penalty only because they let stuff flow.
Yeah,
Didn't they just?
absolutely.
In State of Origin, that's a penalty to Wellsby for not letting him get to the ball. Do you know what I mean? That's the type of world we live in rugby league. Isn't
absolutely.
It? So,
And then from the resulting penalty, I thought, when I saw him lining up to take the two, I thought, for God's sake, not with this wind. Because that wind on Saturday night was horrific. It wasn't coming in off the docks like it usually does. It was coming in
Where
over.
was it coming from?
It was coming in over the west end. It was coming in from my right and coming over the pitch like that. So yes, he had the wind to kick with, but it was still swirling. And I thought it was a very, very ballsy decision to take the two, but ultimately it paid off for us.
It was ballsy in that regard, and it also felt like, why are we doing that? I felt like we'd have the upper hand. Stats show that. They didn't have a single play of the ball in our 30 in the first half. We was
only
on
had
top
one
of
in the entire game.
People sort of forgot in the build-up to the game. I felt like we was heavily favourites in the media, not by the bookies, not maybe by the fans who felt Saints had a chance, but I felt by journalists and media was almost heavily favoured that we would do it. In some of the stuff I read, people were almost forgetting that Saints boasted the third best defence, and that's how they romped into the playoffs and how they managed to get some good results because the defence has been great. There was only just behind Wigan. Was it Wigan or Lee in the end by a couple of points, and then 60 or 70 behind us, maybe 80.
I think. Sorry, just to interrupt. The game that you had back end of the season with them, I think you went into that level on points conceded. So
yeah, and that's how they got
something like that.
So we knew that, and we didn't roll over and say, "Well, we'll just win anyways because we're going to win." We took the 2 points as if this could be a close game, and it did turn out to be a closest game in the end. But the reason I was laughing mainly at my first shout out of the night, I discovered on Saturday at the game that my wife, who doesn't stand with me, so Evangeline and Sammy Langdale and Paddy Langdale, who go off and stand elsewhere in the stands, they play a little game to chuckle at themselves how many times I mention the wind on the podcast when we're doing game reviews.
Brought it up.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because you brought it up because it was horrendous. But apparently I'm guilty of mentioning it a lot. But it obviously was there. There was an abundance of wind, to be fair.
As someone watching it on telly, I couldn't get my head around what was going on with the wind because normally at Craven Park, the wind comes in off the docks, it blows through the stadium from south to north, and you can tell. And it kind of looked like that with ball in play because Rovers seemed to have loads of energy, and then Saints definitely looked like they were running up against the wind. But then when the ball was getting kicked, it was like, I think there was one where, I think it was Mikey kicked it and it went like 80 metres downfield. I was like, oh, the wind got that. But then someone else kicked it on the next play and it barely carried it on. I'm like, where's the wind gone? Like, and then Saints kicked it that way and it went a decent. And I'm like, what? Was the wind just like dancing?
Pretty much, yeah. It was felt like a tornado.
Yeah, it did. I said at kick-off, I was like, I'm really pleased that we're attacking with the wind. I think that's been our mistake a couple of times this year where we thought, go against the wind first half, back your defence, and then in the second half romp home, and then we've had a lot of work to do. We did it against Warrington 2 weeks ago. We didn't do the right way for me, so we didn't have the wind in the first half, and then we actually give ourselves some work to do. But then within about 10 minutes, I thought, have we done the right or the wrong thing here? Because them posts are now moving in a different direction. And you're right, swirling is the right word. It was a bit wild, and it did play a part in the game, for sure.
So do they get points every time you say the word wind?
I don't know what we do, but it's took all year and I found out, and I think Sammy was gutted because it was their little game. But
I reckon. Have you seen How I Met Your Mother when Robin becomes a weather presenter?
Yeah.
And every time she says "but," they have to do a shot.
Yeah.
I reckon that's what they do.
They just go to the bar.
Just shots. However many times Josh says the word wind, they just have a shot.
And to be fair, I did think I'll do the shout out just because I needed to give Paddy one, because I don't think I've mentioned Paddy once this year. And Paddy said to me, he said most of the year we're doing the treble, right? And I've told him to go away every time. And I've not believed or bought into it. And then we won the Challenge Cup and he was like, treble's on, Like, Paddy, it's not. And then he's like, won the league, he's like, treble's on. And then on Saturday he walked up to me and he's like, treble's still on, isn't it, Josh? I was like, Paddy, I'm going to have to start believing at some point because you have been saying this all year long.
Yeah, 8 p.m. on Saturday. If and when, touch wood. Oh, dear. Yeah, it was, as I've said earlier, we looked very refreshed. We looked very energetic, and you could tell that we'd had the week off and that they'd had a game the week before. I thought Saints were very, very poor in attack. I know they haven't been brilliant, but they've got caught at least 3 times on the last tackle without putting a kick in.
That's Saints all season.
it's just it boggles in a semi-final.
How they've got to being a semi-final is credit to what they've just got some inner belief or just some grit and determination. They've done something right to get to a semi-final, but the quality of that side going forward is absolutely awful.
They have, and their attack is woeful, but one of the things that they've done is they've built a season on the back of good defence, but not had any attack to go with it. And then the Leeds game, we're not here to discuss that, I know, but Leeds almost shut up shop and thought the game was done at half-time and allowed them a chance, and then they scored a wonder try that we'll be watching for years to come. Neither team looked good in the Saints and Leeds playoff game.
No.
And so then they came to us, and like you say, luckily the rest looked like it had rejuvenated us, and particularly the first half, we looked up for it. And so, I honestly, some hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I did write this because I meant it. I never once felt the result was in doubt all night.
Saints for me just look like, especially with ball in hand, they've not got a true attacking leader. The job that you'd maybe expect Lomax to be doing is not being done. And I was just thinking then, casting back to pre-season when teams are announcing on rumours are flying about who they're going to sign, and I think if that Jake Clifford signing had come off for them, that proper leader of a 7 with a decent kicking game, they'd have been an entirely different game, entirely different team, because the defence would still have been there because he's still solid in defence, and the difference between having someone like Lomax with Mbai 6 and 7, or Wellsby and Mbai, or Wellsby and Lomax, none of whom are leaders. Stick Clifford in there alongside Lomax, or even Mbai, or even Wellsby. Their game plan with ball in hand changes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think Saints, there's a lot of rumours circulating this week. You know, they haven't actually agreed for Wellens to stay on. There's heavy rumours that he will be leaving now, which we'll wait and see. I haven't got that in news for later on because it's all just rumours. But I think the long-term game plan for them is they've got young Whitby, who they've put out on loan. He'll come back in. He looks like a potential star of the future. They are doing the right thing by not throwing him in.
Yep.
So hopefully he can grow at the right pace. He could be a future superstar, maybe for England, not just for Saints. The announcement, you know, of what Lewis Dodd's doing, which we'll talk about in the news, I think he'll find himself back at Saints after a stint at Catalans next year. And I think they might be looking to build again. It might be Whitby and Dodd are their halfbacks for the future. Their big question now is, obviously, apart from what we do with Paul Wellens, is what to do with Jack Wellsby. Because for me, he's lacklustre and he hasn't found a position where he's doing anything good enough to warrant a first team shirt.
Do you know what? And I'm not saying this for bites. I'm genuinely not saying this for bites. A couple of years ago, Wellsby had the opportunity to go down under when he was flying, and he didn't take it. And you know, the other day in the group chat when I was just like, Mikey's bottling the NRL as a joke, but I'm saying Mikey's bottling the NRL. Is there any worry that Mikey's going to end up doing that similar thing where he's just going to hit a real good high and then just bottom out really early in his career?
I think
because that's what Wellsby's done for me, and I'm worried because
think Wellsby was that good.
No, but he rode that high, didn't he?
He was in a very good sense.
He lived off a try in the grand final.
And what worries me even more, not from a Mikey perspective, from an England perspective, is that kid's got a real good chance of getting the one shirt in the Ashes.
I said it in the group. There's a chance he's getting one, and we've got Pappenhausen who can't even get into the Australian squad.
Yeah,
scary.
Artem Orgi's at the consulate right now changing his passport, and he will be starting for England in the Ash. I don't want to dive into that Mikey point too much. There's always a worry, like Craig said, with any player. It's massively different. I agree with Dean's point in a way that I think Wellsby got overhyped due to one try, at Hull City's ground, and Mikey has already achieved more than Wellsby has, and he's already led a team, and he's doing it season on season, and he's still only 23. So we'll see. Yeah. But for me, there's always a worry, but I wouldn't be as worried as Saints
more
fans
individually,
about Wellsby.
not in a team yet.
Yeah. I just think for me, it's Wellsby must be looking at that and thinking, fucking hell, I wish I'd have just gone down under, even if it was just for one season, like what Tompkins did. And I know there's reasons why Mikey stayed, he's got a family and stuff like that, but I still think, you got the chance, man, you got to take it. But, oh well.
Yeah, should we move on to some talking points in the game?
Yeah.
Still?
Well, I just felt we've gone off on a couple of tangents.
Haven't we?
We haven't touched on forward passes and
Oh,
First try.
Mile forward.
undeserved is the word I'm going to use.
That's the
because
first
it's
try in the
Craig's-
second half, not
Craig's
the first half.
Craig's favourite.
I know you're
word
winding
is
him.
undeserved.
The try itself wasn't undeserved. The pressure was building, and the work to get there was fantastic. The pass to Mikey was a mile forward, and I'm happy to say it was forward, in my opinion.
I
Called it straight away.
I was sat in the north stand, at the top of the stand.
Oh yeah, I saw you.
Hi.
Did the wind take it, Josh?
It was
accidental.
definitely wind led. It was momentum, I believe.
I think
the
that's
phrase
bollocks
is.
because if you watch the replay, you see, is it Gildart that passes it?
Burgess.
Burgess pass it. You see his hands go forward.
What you
as he
couldn't see
passes
was
it.
Wellsby was pulling Burgess' shorts back.
But yeah, I was sat north stand, so behind the sticks, top row, third seat from the end towards the east stand. And I turned to Mason, my lad who I was sat with, and I just went, that's a forward pass.
I was stood section A of the east stand,
But just-
row 14,
what was-
column B.
I was stood fire pit Beverley in front of the big screen about 6 or 7 pounds deep at this point, and
And could
even
still
I
see
could
it.
tell it was forward.
Jimmy, where was you laid on the sofa?
What day was that?
Saturday, you was still poorly because you didn't go to City.
Oh, yeah, I was still poorly. I was laid on my sofa, probably with a lemsip.
Probably.
But my main question is: was Mason sat second seat or fourth
He
seat?
was second.
Second.
Second,
Alright,
yeah. But the reason I gave the seat, wasn't just to take the piss and
Tangent.
whatnot, it was just to say I was sort of, 50 yards-ish, 40, 50 yards from the play and could see that was forward. You've got two officials there who are no more than 15 metres combined away from that pass between both of them, and neither of them have seen it.
It was
The camera along the touchline was in a better position than the touch judge was to see it. That shouldn't be right.
for me. There's a million conversations around forward passes should be checked when we go to video ref, things like that. You know, can we go to a challenge and check that if Saints feel so aggrieved? What do you see in rugby union where they sort of get away with forward passes because they're all momentum and all that? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I think we're all agreed it was a forward pass. I don't believe it changed the outcome of the game,
It
but
was
I
coming.
do understand why Saints fans are aggrieved, because a decision like that changes the setup of the game. We don't go ahead by that second score. Obviously, we already had 2 on the board at that point, and then we don't then have the ball back and so on. But you can't live on those situations. The one that I will fight about and disagree is, I don't understand the controversy over our second try, Butchie's Budgie's try. I don't see
agree.
why people think there's a forward pass in that. I'm
Forward pass
confused.
from Gildart? Is that what people are saying?
That's the only one I can assume that they're referring to, because
Well, his
none
arm,
of the other
you can
ones.
tell his arm
Yeah,
flicks
exactly,
back.
yeah.
Like,
That must be the pass that they're referring to, unless you've got any other.
He
I
goes,
know
he
which
goes
one you're
down.
about
His
now,
ball
yeah.
carrying arm doesn't go down. He flicks it up
Yeah.
right in the corner.
that was fine for me.
I don't. I'm, that's the one I'm struggling with. If I miss something, because I don't understand why there's so much commentary, obviously social media heavy, around 2 forward passes, and I'm thinking I don't see that one.
If anything, it was more likely to be a knock on than it was a forward pass.
I
If it
looked
wants
at
Budgie's left little finger staying on the ball.
I looked at that and I thought, with the way that his arm comes out, my initial thing was, is that forward? But then when you actually watch the way the ball travels, it's not. But his arm comes out in such a way that it kind of like flicks back whilst his arm's sort of leaning
Yeah, I think because of
forward-ish.
the angle that he's tried to do
It
it at, it
looks
has
like-
to come out to go forward, if
And
that
he
makes
has
sense.
to do it awkwardly because he's being held back
Yeah.
as he's trying to pass
By
it.
Wellsby.
But it wasn't forward pass for me.
No, I didn't think
But it
it
was
was
a yellow
either.
card.
Then, yeah, Saints did build a little bit of momentum, didn't they? Sort of early in the second half, that we were getting a few mistakes from ourselves. You know, Mikey kicked out on the full, and then we've got the 2 Hiku penalties, which were both silly. And speaking of Hiku, I've seen that hand in the face. Very, very surprised he did not get pulled up for that.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
that
about
was-
5 minutes in, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was completely
So-
unnecessary.
Yeah, I think on Friday Hiku was at Flower and Feast on Humber Street, and I think he must have got a bad coffee. Because when I look back on the game, something had irked him.
Did he go spend a night out with like Jordan Rapana or something?
Well, no, he doesn't punch people, James.
I think Wellsby was pulling his shirt.
Hey, not confirmed.
It was uncharacteristic of Hiku on a night, especially in the first half. Like most of the team was on fire as well. I thought that it was strange, the palm on the ground to the palm to the face on the ground, and then the 2 penalties in a row for dissent.
Who was that to?
To Wellsby because he was holding him back.
Oh, right, so it wasn't to Benison, so that couldn't have been anything.
It actually was to Wellsby, though. Apart from joking, it was to Wellsby. I believe who made the tackle. It was strange, but they built some momentum. It finally started to work for me, what their entire game plan was, which was run at Mikey. That was their game plan. They apologised to Mikey afterwards. Some of the forwards in the post-match were going over to him. Like, I think it was Worms saying, look, we was told this was the thing was coming at you. It was the entire game plan. On a night where Mikey actually didn't have a bad game. There was a couple of errors, the kick out, under a lot of pressure. He had to do a lot of heavy tackling. He had a lot of sort of traffic coming his way, which just allowed May to step up, and May did step up.
Yeah, it did.
Absolute,
Massively.
Performance of the year really for him, especially in the first half. So it was quite interesting, but the only one that did surprise me, everyone seemed to be on plan, was Hiku. He was finding gaps the way he does, a bit like a slippery little snaky snake. He always manages to just step and get through. Yeah. But then the descent, the 2 penalties on descent, and then also that palm to the face was a bit uncharacteristic. So I don't know what was up with him.
Not sure, but on the very next set from that second penalty, he half walloped the left centre, I think it was at that point, who then knocked on and we got the ball back. So he did atone for his error. He'll be very frustrated. I would assume that he's let those errors creep into his game because it's very un-Hiku-like. So, but he made up for it.
On a semi-serious point on that, my understanding is that he hasn't been named in the New Zealand squad. That's been announced today. I would imagine he's been told in advance. There is, and genuinely, I mean, all seriousness, there is a chance he was made aware of that before the game.
Possibly.
There's a phone call. He was in the squad last year. By the way, this year we're not going that direction. For a player that made the squad last year and by all accounts had a fantastic tournament for him last year, didn't just turn up for the numbers.
He's arguably been a better player this season.
So he could have been a bit frustrated at that decision because who doesn't want to represent the country now? It's not something we've seen from him before to act in that way.
Yeah, I think a couple of other standouts for me was Gildart, Batch. Both of them were absolutely superb on the night.
Batch, 100% tackle rate, great for any player, particularly when you're in a tough playoff game.
I think you said it was 43 tackles.
No, it was only 33.
Oh, 33.
But 100% tackle rate, which most players don't get 100% when you actually check for other stats. Even good players, hookers that get
very
one
rare.
or two. And then the Gildart one, and I'm glad you raised that, just a particular point. He's shown now that I think his match fitness has got back up to a good level. His first couple of games, it was a bit rusty. What it means to have a specialist left centre playing with a winger that he's won big games with before. He hasn't actually won a trophy with Burgess on his outside before. As we know, Burgess' first ever trophy was the Challenge Cup Player of the Year, but he is a specialist left centre. And it's showing. He knows when to go himself. He knows when to give the ball. He set up Booth for 2 last week. He scored 2 himself this week. He's defending well. I thought he had a great game. And I know he got man of the match on Sky. I think May was hard done by not to get man of the match. And I think that, you mentioned Batch had a great game. A lot of people did. I thought Jared, up until the instant, had one of his better games going forward as well. Offloads, making meters. It was a good performance from a lot of players.
Speaking of Burgess, are you going to drop him for the final? Because there's talk that it's not talk that that's going to happen, but there's been a lot of mentions, at least on like Reddit and Instagram, about the fact that he's never won a grand final. He's lost did he lose 3 with Wigan and now 1 with you? And I'm just thinking, just put Booth in. Just take away any doubt that you've got. Any superstition.
Yeah.
Just get rid.
I'm not talking about Burgess because on Saturday night, as you know, because I texted it in the group, we'd scored, and I went to Jake and my dad, and I turned him a stand, and I turned to Susan and my dad, and I went, short kick-off, Budgie, full length scored. And then it happened, and the guy behind me tapped me and started calling me Mystic Meg. And I couldn't believe I'd called it. And then straight away I just saw from you, no try. And obviously they pulled it back. So I'm not talking anything into or out of existence because I don't want it.
We'll move on to that one then. Because
I've seen it back.
You disagreed with it on the day. You said there was now in it. So now you've watched it back. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so my reasonings for not seeing it is because I'm blind to the bat and the screen's at the other end of the ground, and it didn't look to have anything in it from where I was looking at it. So that's why I believe I called it a farce at the time.
You did.
I did. Watching it back, I think it's in a similar ilk to the Wellsby one. It's soft. Because he's running towards the ball. His shoulders, or even to the Mikey one, where Mikey and Wellsby were running both to the ball. Wellsby's just stronger, Mikey goes down, crowd are shouting for a penalty, and I'm like, it's not a
I
penalty.
love that one on Mikey.
Yeah, I do as well.
That one with Wellsby.
Yeah,
I
it's
turned
great.
around, it's all...
That was 2 players running side by side though, but it was Martin, wasn't it? He was
Yeah,
on the
Martin on
touchline
Lomax,
when it was
wasn't
kicked, and then he sort of came in a little bit, and then the ball went past him, and instead of following the ball away, he carried on running towards the Saints man.
I think the
Took his eye off the
interpretation
ball.
from the video ref was wrong. I think the video ref says Martin prevented Lomax from getting to the ball.
It was nowhere near
He
it.
was never going to get the ball. What he did was prevent him in making a tackle when Burgess
Yeah, that's the way I
caught
saw
the ball.
Which is fair
it meant
enough.
that Budgie had to go around 1 player instead of 2.
If it's because of the not being able to make a tackle once Budgie has caught the ball, then fair enough. I do agree with that. But if it's for the off the ball
It
sort
was
of thing, if
stupid
that
from
makes
Martin.
sense,
He didn't need to do it.
He didn't,
so.
but he did. I think that's-
I've got one shout out before we wrap up.
I've got one as well. So you go first.
Just half time, I was holding 2 beverages, one of my dad's, one of mine, so I didn't have a free hand. A really nice couple came by. I don't know if it was with the son or there was just a young lad behind them that was like following them in the path, but they might have been free. But they come over and just said, bragging rights, love the pod kind of thing. And the guy tried to give me a high five, and I couldn't because I had the 2 pints in my hands. So I apologise to him, but it was nice to have the shout out.
Next time, just
nice.
palm him in the face.
Yeah, I would have accepted it. It would have been fine, but it was always nice. But it was nice. So I didn't get your names, but yeah, thanks
Touch
for the
his
shout
chest.
out.
He likes that. But yeah, walking to the ground was one. I'm walking along and he goes, "Now then, mate, how are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not bad." And I recognised him, but I wasn't 100% where from. And he was like, "Oh, I love listening to you." And I went, "Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate any sort of positive comments." He went, "You don't recognise me, do you?" I was like, "I do, but I don't know where from." And he went, "Oh, I'm off the Robin Pod." It was from the Robin Pod. So shout out to him and Jeff. It's not Jeff.
Jono.
No, I know Jono. It's another guy that I'd spoken to. But yeah, walking into the ground, I got about 3 or 4, and one of them went, "I'm saying hi to you and you're not near a toilet. You'll have to let Dean know that it does happen." Like this. I didn't get a name for that person because it was just in passing, and I found that was really funny. But John Nags stood talking to him for about 10 minutes before the game. He used to do the Rovers fanzine. I don't know if you'll quite remember it when we was in National League. It was a bit like a satirical take on rugby league, and I used to absolutely love that. And he said when we got into Super League, he wasn't able to do it.
Is that necessary? A satirical take on rugby league? Rugby league
Well-
in general is...
Well, it is, but I think when we was in the reaches of the then Northern Ford Premiership or whatever they are,
I imagine it, but then if I saw it, it might bring back some nostalgia, but I
was
can't
like
recall it.
similar to a comic book.
I've
We used to have one of them at Boulevard. Like when I first started going when I was a kid, I vaguely remember that getting sold.
Yeah.
Mum always used to buy the programme, and I was like, well, what about that one? So that just
I
sticks
always
out.
used to buy the fanzine. And
You
I
used to
didn't.
point to it as well when
Yeah.
you were talking to my mum.
Yeah. We always... Shut up.
I hope that enough viewers and listeners now realise that our mum's blind. But
Well, if they don't, they do now. But yeah, I just wanted to give John a massive shout out because he said he loves it. Keep up the good work. And he said when he first saw the concept of a Hull and Rovers podcast, and he was a bit like, "Oh, I wonder how this will work." And he started watching out of a curiosity, shall we say? And now listening, sorry. And he said he really enjoys the input of you two guys as well. So
thank you.
yeah, massive shout out
Guys.
to John.
You don't normally get complimented, do you?
Yeah.
No.
Does anyone else get
I did
caught...
say to him, even Jimmy, and he went, "Yeah."
Does anyone else get caught off guard? You know, like when we have people walk up to us and say, "Oh, I love the pod," like listen to it. Do you ever get caught off guard and think, "Shit, what do I say?"
I just say thanks for listening all the time. It's my go-to.
I just put my hood up and
I
carry on
sometimes
walking.
fumble my
Sorry.
words. Like, shockingly for me.
Yeah,
Sometimes I sort of get torn between going, I appreciate that and thanks for listening, and oh yeah, and even when it's the nice ones, not when they're like, oh, give it to the black and white bastards or whatever. Because often
They are nice for you though, aren't they, them ones?
often we do say things like, oh,
Yeah, because they come from the old fans.
yeah.
I think, to be fair, last time it was that guy on the cereal aisle in Asda, Liam, and I remember he walked past and he was like, "Oh, I love listening to the pod, mate. Me and the missus listen to it." And I'm stood there and I'm thinking, "Oh, I really appreciate that." And then in my head I'm thinking, what cereal shall I buy?
One of my favourite ones, this happened when you cut through from the cemetery the other week. I think I did shout this guy out the other week when it happened, but as I was walking to the ground before a game, and he was like, said something to me, like, bragging rights, look great, yeah, I thought I recognised you or whatever. then carried on walking with the people he was with, like his family or friends or whatever. And then you sort of hear the conversation carry on where someone goes, "Who's that?" And then you hear him explain, like, "Who does that podcast? Oh, I hadn't seen that." So it's nice because it's like spreading the word, but sometimes you sort of stunned silence and you sort of hear that it's like a bloke saying, "I love your pod, mate." Like what happened after the celebration after Challenge Cup, a guy shouted across the street to me, of one of many, and I remember his wife just being like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "Who does that podcast?" But I'm still in earshot because I'm stood outside like a bar. Yeah, it's strange.
I like
but
the double take where you walk in and then someone just like walking around just glances and they do that longer look afterwards.
You don't like that. That's the reason you're leaving.
I fucking hate it.
no, the reason he's leaving is because he can't hang around women's toilets anymore,
The
and he
amount
wants
of
to be able to do it without getting attracting attention.
Dean used to leave the stadium like any normal person, just stand up and walk
At
out.
half time.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not
60
me.
minutes.
Not
60
me.
minutes.
Now he leaves the stadium, but before he goes anyway, he puts his hood up.
Like Kenny from South Park.
Yeah.
To wrap ours up then, so we can move on from what was a good win in the end, one in doubt. The only thing now, one more game to go, on to Old Trafford.
On to that,
On to the big dance.
there was something that I picked up on at the end of the game. Yes, I was many pants deep, but I picked up on it. And I go back to the Warrington semi-final win last year. Mikey... Mikey come... you've thrown me now. The Utter goes, Mikey jumps on the advertising board. I think he's in front of the East Stand and he's like, pumped, celebration. There was none of that this year. It was like last year, we've got to the grand final, that's job done. This year, it was balls kicked out of play, no real celebrations, job's not done.
Still got business to attend.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like that mindset has shifted. And that was, I thought, why?
You can forgive him that for last year.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it.
It was a one-off, was going to like our first grand final, and it was massive. I will talk about the mindset in the preview for the grand final, though, which will touch on that point. But I think you're right to raise it, 'cause it's a very astute thing to pick up on. It was noticeable, palpable in the ground, I think, as well. It was business is done, but there's still business to get after.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's that wrong with what Mikey did last year. Like when we went,
he's just in your head, isn't he?
when we did it in 16, celebrations on the pitch before we went to the final, we still went and won the final. So I'm not saying that was right or that was wrong. I liked the mindset from your players as a whole. After the game, it was like, yeah, shake hands, clap your fans, whatever you did. But it's not done.
Yeah.
Let's go to our sponsor. This week's episode is sponsored by Comscaff.
Commercial Scaffolding, or Comscaff, are a Hull-based company formed over 30 years ago.
They offer a safe and professional scaffolding service nationwide.
For services and enquiries, you can go to comscaff.co.uk or call 01482 782 181.
Right. Is this your bit? Oh, it's Josh's bit. Like we hadn't listened to him enough. What news you got for us, Josh?
What, and he got by the sounds of it.
Yeah, big section tonight. And for the listeners and viewers, just so you know, obviously I like to complain about still not being paid my signing on fee. I only now agree to do the podcast because I get my own section. So that's why you get to hear me so much.
We're still waiting on funding for a 4-pack of Kit Kats and 4 Diet Coke, so...
Full fat, please. So yeah, quite a bit of news from around the Rugby League world. Not unusual this time of year, though. We do tend to get to the back end of the normal season and the playoffs, and a lot more comes out. Discussions on what's happening next year, teams ending up, and also the opposite end of the world, what's happening down under. And we're going to start down under with what was an absolutely fantastic and thrilling NRL Grand Final last week. One that is not just worth watching the highlights. I recommend watching the full game if people haven't tuned in. It was a fantastic game with the Brisbane Broncos defeating the Melbourne Storm 26-22 in just an outrageous game. Reece Walsh, a young player who gets a lot of attention, some negative, some positive, who was a superstar of our game, won the Clive Churchill medal as the best player on the field in what many pundits and journalists and indeed fans are calling the clearest, if not one of, but possibly the clearest performance for someone to win that of all time. It was absolutely phenomenal. What the stats will show when you watch it back is that this kid made 176 metres, 14 tackle breaks, 1 try, 3 try assists. What it doesn't show is that he had 2 try-saving tackles that would have probably give Storm the win in the end. It was just an unreal performance from a young guy who gets a lot of attention, and you're hopefully going to see come over in the Ashes, and I'm scared to see him against England because this guy's something special.
He still paints his fingernails, though.
Incorrect. His young daughter, who he raises, not as a single dad.
Here we go. Make me feel bad. Go on.
But he co-parents because he's broken up with his partner. He allows his young daughter, to paint them, and he's heavily involved in his daughter's life because his own mother was a drug addict that wasn't around to raise him.
Wow.
That's why he has his fingernails painted.
You just made that up on the spot?
That is completely true.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Ah, that's decent. That's decent parenting. That. Do you let Layla paint your fingernails?
If she wanted to.
Would you?
I won't go out in public, but if she wanted to.
I'm saying.
No, there was a couple of... They had it tough, did Brisbane as well, losing both halfbacks, Hunt and Reynolds. I just want to mention Ezra Mann. He was absolutely outstanding when he come on. He
was
pitch.
everywhere, wasn't he?
Everywhere, and he was in the semi-final the week before as well. So I don't know why is he not. He's not in the Ashes squad. Is he? I know he was born in Australia and he's only 22, 23. But is he elite?
Declared?
Has he declared somewhere else? I'm not
All
too
of the
sure.
squads for Samoa, Tonga, New Zealand, etc. were released today, and I didn't get a chance to look at them in detail. So it could be that he
might be in one of them. I don't know, but I was very surprised that he's not been picked for the Ashes squad if he's eligible for that.
Yeah, he was another player that had a corking game, as many did. A couple of key points just to finish up on the grand final, though, and I do recommend watching. Ben Hunt getting knocked out. Again, Reece Walsh showing his absolute class as a human being, running over to hold him.
Munster as well, I think, went and Walsh just got there before.
Ben Hunt, who famously 10 years ago knocked on in extra time and golden point from the kick-off and didn't lose Brisbane Broncos the final back then, but might be longer than 10 years ago now, actually. I can't remember the exact date.
It was a while, wasn't it?
But has come back to the club, his boyhood club, and gone on to win. I was just so pleased for him. You see a guy who some of his playing teammates from back then and now he's coaches. You know, the guy's 36. And I was just so pleased. It's lovely to see these stalwarts of our game get that one and to get that ring, so it was fantastic. And then also shout out to Michael Maguire, the coach for Broncos. A guy who's got an incredible record now, who has been delivering year after year, you know, taking New South Wales last year. He took South to the first championship in 39 years back in 2014. But what he managed to do on Sunday morning, for us, Sunday night for Australia, he now, for a man who got a lot of discredit early in the season, saying he was pushing the players too hard, he was training too hard, and, you know, he wasn't going to go anywhere, he's now become one of only 6 coaches in history to have won the Premiership in the NRL with 2 separate teams. Yeah, this guy's something special, is Maguire, and
I heard that in commentary. I can't remember. I remember Sheen's one of them, one of the others, but I can't remember who the others
the other
was.
one. There's some older ones that escape my mind, but what an incredible stat. So yeah, but go away, watch that if you haven't seen it. It was a fantastic game.
I did see some on Madge earlier, come from a Wigan account, I think, or a Wigan fan. So when he was at Wigan, it was Wigan, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was Wigan. Yeah. So when he was at Wigan, a group of their old players have all got a WhatsApp group, and Madge is in it, and he posts loads in there, and he's actually quite hilarious, apparently. So
he's the reason why the game changed as it did over here, I believe. He's the one who Tompkins coming through, and we found that instead of your fullback being a ball runner, your fullback was more of an actual pivot, a ball passer, and he was one of the reasons in that. They were so structured, that Wigan team, weren't they? As we used to call them at Lambeth, the B-balls. The ball's out the back. He got his team perfecting that play and throwing just shape at everyone they come up against. And he changed the game over here. A bit like, I'm not going to say what Pep's done for Premier League football, but similar.
Very similar,
yeah.
I don't rate him. Look at his record at Wests. 36% win ratio. Awful.
On that point, I did actually read a really good comment around his record at West, saying, can people now look back and realise how bad West must have been and how much he did manage to achieve with that team, given where he took them to? Because did he manage to get you into the playoffs I don't
think it was quite.
Or was it
far.
like 7th or whatever it is? Or sorry, 9th, just missed out. But yeah,
I think it was our best season prior to this season. Was when Maguire was there. But
he's something special as a coach. So yeah, but shout out to him as well. But yeah, go away and watch that if you get a chance. Sticking with results in big games. Toulouse beat York in an absolutely thrilling championship grand final. They won 10-8. It was a bruising affair. Very disappointing for York, who were hoping to win their own treble there. Obviously a shame for them. There was a lot of discussion around these two teams we're going to see in the Super League next year. And there's heavy favouritism towards Toulouse from what I'm seeing. Whispers and some journalists talking about this week that Toulouse have done themselves no end of favours by winning that game. But yeah, it's a shame for York, and I'm going to talk about York in the preview section regarding going for the treble and just falling short. But another good game to watch, and obviously well done to Toulouse, but gutting for York on that front.
Toulouse didn't score a try either, did they? And still won. It's 5 penalties.
Is that what it was?
Ollie Ashall bot kicked them all.
I didn't start
when
watching
London
it.
beat Toronto in that final, I don't think they scored a try, did they?
Was that 4? What score was that one?
Don't know, but it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was brilliant.
The one against Fev the year after was better.
Moving on then, so rugby league related, but onto rugby union. We're going to talk about a man that you guys love. I like the guy as a person, Lee Radford. Lee Radford, as we know, defence coach down at Northampton Saints in the Gallagher Prem. It looks like he's now going to be announced as the defence coach for Scotland for this, next year's upcoming Six Nations, working under Gregor Townsend. Great to see ex-players going on and doing things like that. Six Nations is so high profile, they even have their own Netflix show, Full Contact, that goes through and covers the Six Nations. Hopefully they'll mention his background, a bit of rugby league on that, but it's a shame, we've said this a few times now, to not have league ex-players and coaches in the game still, but it's still good to see them doing well. Yeah. So well done, Radders, because that is a massive achievement.
Yeah,
congrats to Radders.
Massive congrats.
A little bit downbeat news now. League One club Keighley Cougars, they are to receive 0 IMG grading points after submitting their information to the RFL late. They are not very happy about this. They were just less than 24 hours late. They are, I know you're saying, Jimmy, it's still late.
It's late.
10 seconds late.
They are fuming. They are saying they are being made to be a scapegoat. They will now be ranked 32 out of 32 because no one can do worse. It's a 0. It's a 0. Their big point hinges on this: that last year Batley submitted 1 week late and were not penalised for doing it.
If that's the case, then yeah, that's shit. But in both situations, if you don't do your job on time, you've not done your job. I think Batley should have had the same treatment last year. That's where the problem is. It's not the problem is not with treating Keighley bad this year. It's the fact that you let Batley off last year.
Maybe you let Batley off because it was your first year of having to do it. I don't know, but you can't just say, because they got away with it last year. What does that mean? In 10 years' time, we all get a free pass.
This is what the RFL is saying.
Next time someone assaults a player on the pitch, they'll still be able to play in the grand final.
Yeah, that's what the RFL is saying.
Going into a grand final.
The RFL is saying that last year they made a point afterwards to say this won't happen again. So, but we'll see what comes out of that. But I don't think it'll be overturned.
No.
Wigan Warriors women, they did complete their own historic treble by beating the Saints 16-12 in their own grand final. Again, a bit strange being played at the Brick, but we'll move past that. Another thrilling game, another one worth watching back or watching the highlights if you don't have time for the full game. Congratulations to the Wigan women for that.
Not sure on the crowd on that, but they look like a decent crowd there.
Record crowd of 5,018 people. So fantastic to see the women's sport growing as well and to get people down there. And what was good to see, I don't like them a lot, the Wigan players anyways, and I definitely don't like them this week with the grand final, but it was great to see a lot of their first teamers there, and Sember and the like sat watching and supporting the women. So what I don't want to see is what Brisbane got to do this week, which was the women and the men's team celebrate together and go on a private flight with the trophies and travel back to Brizzy. I don't want Wigan's men and women to be celebrating at the same time this Saturday. But yeah, well done to Wigan women on that one.
I won't mind that.
I think it'd be quite fun to watch.
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to go for a couple more and I'm going to finish on a couple of downbeat ones because I think that'll just be the right thing to do. I know, but it's right. So, Catalan have signed halfback Lewis Dodds on a 1-year deal from the South Sydney Rabbitohs. He left here as a bit of a up-and-coming superstar. He's had next to no game time over in Oz. He's had a very raw deal of it by all accounts. He almost didn't even get a chance and then was, let's say, slagged off by his own coach repeatedly.
I think Bennett's been a proper dick about it.
Bennett has not been professional, in my opinion, is the way they've treated him.
Surprised at a 1-year deal.
Is it a loan or?
He'll end up back at St Helens.
He's back at Saints. I said it earlier. I think he's going back to Saints, and I think it'll be when Sailor leaves. But
it must only be cap space that's stopping him from going to Saints now, because they're crying out for a 7. They haven't replaced him in the first place.
The fact that he signed, was it 3 or 4 years he signed with South?
4, I think.
He must be getting a massive wedge still from Souths.
Yeah.
Or Souths must be paying a massive wedge of his wages next year.
Yeah,
that's why I asked if it was a loan or not, like whether they just let him go and paying out like 2/3 of his wages or whatever.
Yeah, we don't know the details, but it looks like obviously he's going to replace Kiri, so we'll see him back in Super League next year. But
maybe he'll do a bit better than Kiri.
Maybe so.
You could do better than Kiri.
Thanks.
One for you, disciplinary, guys. Lachlan Lamb, no further action to be taken on the allegation of unacceptable language versus Mason Lino in their playoff game
unless it was picked up by the
2
rest,
weeks ago.
Mike, it was never going to be
It's
any
so
different.
hard, isn't it? Was it a London player that alleged something about an old player last season, or the other way around? Unless there is a microphone on every player, how are you meant to? He said, she said. That's the only way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, it's the problem. The issue I've got there is it really is just a shame that I don't think Lino would have said he said this if he didn't say it. So I think you're always going to be kind of guilty by association, and he probably did say something that upset him or pissed him off or offended him or whatever, and it's just a shame that shit goes on in the game.
It is a shame, but obviously no further action, and so we'll move on to next year. We're nothing to worry about for Lam and for Lee. 2 final points then, both downbeat. Apologise for that, but worth mentioning. First one, a little bit rugby union again, but it's worth mentioning. Sad news coming out this morning in that former England captain Lewis Moody, Mad Dog Moody, has been diagnosed with MND, 47, also toured with the British and Irish Lions. A bit of a legend of rugby, bit of a legend of my youth as well, especially post Johnny Wilkinson era when I used to watch a lot more rugby union, especially a lot of England. Just really sad to see MND hitting another famous person, just like it's sad when it hits anybody. I'm sure there'll be a lot more coverage around this going forward, given Rob Burrow, Doddy Weir and things like that, so it won't be the last that we probably speak about and see, but thoughts are obviously with Lewis and his family and friends right now, but just sad to see, and obviously hopefully we keep raising money like we have been doing, Kevin Sinfield and people like that, in the coming months and years to see if we can try and finally tackle and defeat this terrible disease.
I would really like now for Moody to be kind of welcomed into that Borough, Sinfield kind of family that
I'm sure he will be.
They did with Doddy Weir, didn't they? And
yeah.
Look, so I listened to a podcast just this morning. There's a rugby union one that I like to listen to, and they interviewed him, and it was heartbreaking. It was a hard listen. You could tell whether they'd had to edit it out and stop because he was getting emotional. And one of the things he said was he hasn't reached out to some of these people yet, but there will be a time when he feels comfortable and he feels like he's able to do so. And he wants to be involved, he wants to help with the fundraising, he wants to be a face that's part of that to help other people. But right now it's really hard because he has 2 teenage sons. One of his sons is actually a goalkeeper for Southampton football. Very obviously hard for them as well, hard for his wife because 47 is no age. So he will be welcome into that fold. I think he's just going through a bit of an adjustment to get himself ready to do that. And when he does, the rugby league community will welcome him. If you remember last year, we had that charity game where we had the mixed code game. He was meant to play in that, but he had an issue. And it turns out that this issue that was muscle wastage fatigue in the shoulder looks like it was related to what was undiagnosed MND at the time.
That's why he went down. That's why he went to get it checked, because he felt a bit of weakness in his shoulder lifting weights at the gym or something like that.
So yeah, so shout out to Mad Dog and his family though. Thoughts are with you and everyone involved. And last bit, again, a bit of a sad one. Hull FC and Rugby League as a whole, the morning, the loss this week of the legend that was Mick Harrison. Sadly, Mick has passed away at the age of 79 after making 321 appearances for the Black and Whites, split over 2 spells, 65 to 74 and 82 to 83. I think he's sort of commonly and well regarded as one of the greatest props to ever play for your club. Very well renowned, very well known. He did also play for England and Great Britain, and he did play for Great Britain at just 20 years old. He wasn't actually born in Hull. He was born in West Yorkshire, but plied his trade in Hull rather than the rest of Yorkshire and became very famous here. So, yeah, obviously, condolences to his family, to a legend of the sport, but a legend of Hull FC as well.
Yeah, part of our Hall of Fame as well, he's Mick. I'm sure, I was just checking then, yeah, he lined up against the Australian touring team at the Boulevard in 82 as well. So
Challenge Cup winner with you guys in 77 and 78. Oh no, that was during his time in West Yorkshire, sorry. So he's got some, sorry, I'm reading the article wrong.
Yeah,
some wins with you guys, someone he did go back to West Yorkshire, but obviously Hall of Fame, a legend of a guy.
I think he was part of our last ever championship winning campaign in 83. So yeah, condolences to the family there. But that wraps up news from around the world this week.
Good. Talk about what's going on at Tribal then, and since I haven't been sent anything about no comedy nights or DJ nights or anything, I think we're just going to focus on one nice, big, really important fixture on Saturday. I don't think there's going to be many people from your fan base that aren't going, but if there are any, come watch it at Tribal. It'll be on the big screen. I think aside from actually going to the game, you ain't going to get any sort of atmosphere in your own house like what you'd get in this place. So get your backsides down here, bring your season passes with you if you've got one, get your 15% off on your food and drink, and make a night of it watching the Mighty Warriors do over the Robins, hopefully.
Bookmark this tweet.
But yeah, no, if you're not going to the game, whether you're an Hull fan, a Rovers fan, or even if you live in Hull, you watch this podcast and you are, I don't know, it could be a Bradford fan or a Leeds fan, get your backside down here, get stuck in with a load of other rugby league fans and watch what'll hopefully be a decent game. Aside from that, I reckon you're probably going to be able to stay after that and enjoy some nice DJ music from Steve Cable. So, yeah, make a night of it. Anyway,
Listeners' Lounge.
Oh, Dean gets a bit now.
I get a bit, yeah.
You've had those written out for about 6 weeks, haven't you?
For a while. Can I just check, have we done our combined teams?
Yeah, I did actually, I think. Yes.
No.
Rovers and Hull.
No.
No, I didn't get a reminder, but I imagine it'd be something like...
I did it because I thought it was last week.
It was supposed to be last week, so... And I did put a reminder on the group chat. So, anyway, we will go for... Oh, God. I tell you what, should we go for Gary's?
Oh, I did do it.
You did do it. Oh, we'll crack on with that one then.
You can do it on the fly.
I'll do it on the fly.
He does everything on the fly, doesn't he? So,
It's because you said was meant to do it last week, and I was like, no, I've got
I
it.
did see you looking back, yeah.
we just didn't have time because of our technical issues.
Should we try and run it the same way we did
Yeah,
the
Susan.
Dream Team?
Fullbacks.
Full back and go around it.
Go on then. Do you want to start, Craig, and we'll go around?
So it's combined Hull FC, Hull KR team
Yep.
this season.
I've
the
got
players
all-time,
that are
Jesus.
available this season, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gone all time, have we?
No, I've got
No,
this
no.
season.
Yeah, we've done
all
players
time
that have been
before anyway,
available.
haven't we? Yeah.
And like when this question first came up, I was like, that's going to be very heavily Rovers based, just as a quick assumption. But then speaking with Dean last week, I was actually pleasantly surprised it's more evenly split.
Not as pleasantly as I was with mine.
Well, yeah. Not that I was pleasantly surprised because there's more Hull players than I thought there would be. But yeah,
It's a big difference to what it would have been last season.
I think you'd have had one.
I think we did one last season.
We had
didn't
SA last season,
SA,
that
that
was
was it,
it,
I think.
Yeah. But yeah, number one for me, Artemog.
I've got Morg.
I've got Morg.
Hardacre.
Here we go again.
No, it would be Artemog.
The best
Wingers.
Arthur in Hull.
For now.
Martin on the wing.
Wingers.
Reese. No, Lewis. Joking. I'm
Martin Lewis don't play on the wing.
God.
Martin Lewis, the money man.
The money man.
The money man.
No, Lewis Martin and Budgie.
So I've got Lewis Martin and Davies.
Same as Josh.
Same as Josh.
I was split. But again, same as last week.
We had this in the Dream
Yeah.
Team thing last week,
Yeah,
though, didn't we?
Same,
We picked
same
Budgie.
principle. Centres, I've gone for Hiku and Davy Litton.
I've gone Gildart and Hiku.
I've gone Hiku and Hardacre.
See, the Gildart thing, if he'd played all year, if it fully fit, I probably imagine I would have put him in there. And it is a bit of an hard one, but Iku's definite. And it would be where Hardacre does actually slot in for me, because I think Litton has had a good season, but Hardacre, despite only playing there 4 times this season, you have to put him somewhere, and that's where I'd have him.
That's fair enough. 6 and 7.
Yeah, because we might have different way rounds. I don't know.
Lewis and Caesar.
Yeah, I've just got the Kent boys, obviously. Yeah, I've got Mikey and Caesar.
Ross.
Yeah, I've got.
So just to be clear on some
I've got
man
Lewis
ones
and Caesar. Yeah.
on these when I've picked them as well, because you were saying then about Gildart being injured. I've kind of gone more on the potential of they're all fully fit.
Yeah, that's
what would I like to see? And that, cause I'll mention, we'll talk about Hardacre in a little bit from me as well. When I looked at the centres, it was like Hiku, Gildart. Like I'd said last week, I'd love Hiku to be Martin's centre kind of thing. For me, what Caesar's done in the past and when he has turned up this year, which has been the majority of the time, but on the good games he's had, whereas we know with May can be a bit aloof sometimes, Mikey and Caesar together could really gel and bounce off each other well. So I think that could be quite a good pair.
Caesar takes a bit of pressure off Mikey, I think, more so than May taking pressure off Mikey over the course of the season. That was my...
Caesar for me of a May as well is...
Is that your pairing, by the way?
Yeah, same. He's more of a leader. He'll take control of the team better than what May will. He's less of a...
He does a lot of off-the-cuff stuff, Tyrone. He plays what he sees in front of him rather than being rigid, which is sometimes what you need, but then sometimes you need the Tyrone May side of things, the off-the-cuff play.
But then Mikey does that, doesn't he? And I think, actually, May doesn't always offer that much kicking. He has a high bomb and quite a short kick that we use, but not all the time. Mikey and Caesar being able to interchange who's kicking would be very devastating for opposing teams.
Yeah, I reckon so too. Props is Jesse Sue and Herman.
Yeah, SASA and Jesse Sue.
I've gone Herman and Whitbread. I feel like we've got me big bopper with Herman and then Whitbread to...
Bit of agility.
Yeah.
I've gone SA and Sue. SASA and Sue.
Not Sam SA.
Not Sam SA.
Not SA.
No.
Shut up.
Hooker, I've gone for Jez.
Yeah, Jez.
Jez.
Bamford. No, Jez.
Right on.
I don't say that as a piss take. I say that because Bamford for me is our number one, in my opinion, should be. But yeah, it's got to be Jez Litton.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Bamford, who's just been called up to the Ireland squad, by the way.
Has he?
Yeah. So
good.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
That wasn't in your news, was it, Josh?
Well, no, because I've been called up to the Ireland squad. I call anyone up. No, well done. I am joking.
Second rowers, I have gone for Hardacre and Hadley in my second rows.
I've gone for Batchelor and Hardacre.
I've gone for Hadley and Batchelor.
I'd go with Dean. I'd go for your two, Batchelor and Hadley.
The reason I put Hardacre there was opposite to you. Yes, he was brought in as a centre, meant to play centre. He's played majority of the games in the pack for you, and for me, that's where he stood out. So that's why I've put him.
He has, but I said for weeks and weeks when he was there, he was doing a really solid job, but he did miss that punch. There was, he wasn't making very many land breaks or even half breaks in that second row. And whilst he did an absolute solid job, as to have him as a second rower in a squad like this or in a dream team or anything like that, they need to be performing as a top second rower, not just doing a solid job as a second rower.
Yeah, no.
So
I thought it'd be not controversial, but a disagreement. The reason I ended up doing it that way is I didn't do a bench because it's not worth it. But it was a tough decision. But for me, I'd like to see, when I'm picking that team, I'd like to see Hardacre in it. I am concerned at his age. I'm concerned at how tough this year has been because he's done so much. The idea of having him as an interchange doesn't seem as appealing to have him starting. So for me, it was him and Batch start. And then if we did do a bench, I'd obviously definitely have Dino there. Imagine Dino coming on for him, And that way you could get a full season out of Hardacre as he's getting older in age without him having to do 80 minutes. And I just see him maybe losing a bit of pace at centre. But I wanted to include him, and that's why I end up with second row. But I think we've all agreed we'd have him in the team somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Wrap this up then. Loose man, Elliot.
Yeah, Minchella. I think this is where we might disagree.
Yeah, I've gone Asiata. I think he offers more.
I'm contradicting myself with my Gildart comment 100%. Asiata for me is... I'm not going to say much better, but he is a better...
Now that I remembered that I've done it, I remember writing this and thinking this will be the one that really catches up, because our evidence, despite what we've said maybe about some lacklustre performances or maybe not 9 out of 10s, only 7 and 8s, our captain, our loose man, who has won 2 trophies, top of the league and going to a grand final, compared to a player who I think is injury prone and I think has only shown glimpses. It's hard to get your head around because, like I've just said, contrary to myself, I'm going on a fully fit squad. Yeah. I still think Mini edges it for me, but I've got red and white glasses on.
Yeah, I've probably got black and white specs on. I think he holds a team together. He will bring together your 9, your 6 and 7 and allow them to flourish because he does all the rest of the work, holding everyone else together. So, black and white specs. So
I don't even think I'm wearing black and white specs. I thought the same thing when he was at Lee. Fully fit, Asiata walks into any team at 13.
And that's the reason I've gone for Minchella, because he wasn't fully fit for most of the season. Same reason Bevan French didn't win Man of Steel last year, because he wasn't fit enough.
Yeah, it depends how you're looking at it as well. Like you've looked at it,
yeah, exactly.
Very, very broadly the same across there. Probably 10 out of 13, the same across maybe 11. I'll be interested when we do this, if we do this next year, just because there is a wealth of signings that you've got, and we've actually got some in forwards. Particularly, we've got a couple of people coming in that could easily replace some of these. So, it'd be good to see where we end up this time next year.
We'll do it again next year.
I mean, you've got even people like us. We've all got SASA, but who knows what Lasoni's going to do for us next year? Like, you know, who knows? I'm not just picking out one player. I'm saying
we've got a good one though.
We don't know what Jake Arthur's
going
to like.
Lasoni is
the one I'd have gone with.
Name a better impact prop in the league.
Dan Lasoni.
Mago.
Then SASA, then Lasoni.
SASA is not an impact prop.
If he was used properly, it would be.
Like Macaulay Azu was for us. Very rarely started, but came off the bench after 20 minutes.
All jokes aside, Dean's right. Mago is a better impact prop than Lasoni.
Even if it is just for 5
Even
minutes.
And he also runs properly.
Cheers, Pat. For that question. We finally got round to it in the end.
Can't remember, mate.
Can't think of his name though, can you? That's the point.
I remember having a go at him because he was a bit grubby on Mikey Lewis.
Oh, in everyone.
No, this was a season or 2 ago. Can't think of his name. Never mind.
We'll see. But in
the
same fashion, I was just naming players. You've got Amon starting signing next season. Like he's gonna bring a very much a different proposition in your pack. So
what did he do to us earlier?
What?
Shut up.
I'm just. When did I tell anyone to shut up?
No, I'm telling you to shut up.
No, earlier on, I don't know what actually was doing by the table, telling us to like wrap it up or something.
No, it's because Dean was whispering.
Because my volume levels are all up and down.
I don't want Matt to tell us the sounds off because I put a lot of effort in, and then every now and again Dean starts talking like this.
Do what I do when the wife's on a phone call and I'm like, wrap it up. Trying to watch TV. So Bake-Off's on.
We've got a question from Paul, father of Susan and Josh.
Ooh, not confirmed, Susan. Definitely my father, not confirmed, Susan.
All right, okay.
And Tom.
That's sort of
not confirmed, Tom either.
That's sort of believe. I could get why. A question more appropriate to the ex-international player on the panel. Would you like to see development tier 3 countries exempt from quota spots, thus allowing expansion areas, players' development opportunities, and also help develop in international competitions?
Yes and no. So it depends. So the player that immediately springs to mind for me, or the players that immediately spring to mind for me there, the Jacks brothers, so you've got Riley and Reese. They're Aussies, but they qualify for Canada in the same way that I did through my dad. Not through the same dad, but through their dad or their granddad.
Someone else got sharing inheritance.
So they need
someone else can pretend to be Canadian.
Right, shut up. So I would say yes, exempt them from the quota, but then you have to get rid of this bullshit where if you play for Canada, you can still play for Australia, or if you play for Ireland, you can still play for England. If you want to be exempt from the quota, you have to declare for the third tier nation,
and you can't change
back. You need to get rid of that, because then it's like, yeah, right, you're an Aussie, you've done real good things, you're a real good player, you come across and you want to be off and you qualify for the Netherlands. Great, you can come off quota, but you're never allowed to play for Australia. You're only allowed to play for the Netherlands. Like it has to be a twofold thing.
I know they are tier 3 or Samoa, but it's like Payne Haas. Played for 4 or 5 years for Australia, and now he's playing for Samoa. I don't like it. I really don't like
it. You can't do it in international football, can you?
No, you can't do it to up to under 21 level.
Yeah,
I think there's
full
Welsh
first
player
grade.
who's played for England under 21s.
It was
John
like,
James or something, I think
was
his
it
name was.
Declan Rice
He's
as
now
well? Didn't
he
he play
played for Ireland, and Jack Grealish did.
Yeah.
So, but that player's just declared for Wales.
I think in football, you're allowed 3. You can play up to 3 games for a nation and then still switch, as long as they're only friendlies.
All right.
So I think Rice played, maybe, I don't know the exact figures, but maybe he played 2 friendlies for Ireland and then switched.
I think he was
you're
still
right.
in
I
like
think
the
you're
under
right,
23 squad.
No, I think he's right.
Was he?
Yeah.
Or did he get called
Yeah.
up to the first team for a few
But
friendlies?
whatever it is, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Commit
as
to
an
one.
example, Dean could play 2 friendlies for England, and then when they realised he's shit, he'd still be allowed to go play for Canada.
England Masters.
Yeah.
I think it's always going to be a real contentious discussion because if we want to continue to grow the sport we love, we have to find exceptions to allow us to do it, because a lot of these countries don't have the availability that they can make a team that makes them competitive. So if we don't allow this free flowing of players to look into the heritage and play for Samoa, play for Tonga, play for Papua New Guinea, but then when they get selected for Australia, New Zealand, England or whoever to then make the switch, all we do is decimate the bottom end of our sport, and we're not unique in this. Rugby union struggle with it. They struggle at the Six Nations level. They've always struggled for that sixth nation to get somebody competitive, and it's took Italy nigh on 20 years to even come close. So we have to find ways. So I think the answer for me, I'll say straightforward, but it isn't straightforward. The straightforward answer is none of us like it, and we'd like to see it. You're born somewhere, you play for them, or you declare for somewhere through heritage or because of family, descendancy or whatever. So therefore you play there. But what we also need to consider is, what do we want our sport to do, continue to grow? So we need to sometimes be a little bit lax on some of these rules that allow them. And I would also sort of argue that point, like Jimmy, it's very relevant to you. You qualify with a Canadian passport because your dad lived there.
Dad was born there.
Dad was born there. So you have never lived there until you was an adult and then moved out there. So you've spent good 98% of your life here, but you identify as Canadian, have got a Canadian passport or half Canadian, whatever you want to do. But the argument really being is, if you then qualified and played for Canada once, which you've done, which was fantastic and a great achievement, all banter aside.
Twice.
Can't even take a compliment, can
Just take the compliment.
Right? You now qualify for England. Would you want that taken away from you?
I won't play for England.
Because you see yourself as Canadian.
Because I've played for
But
Canada.
if you had the choice
So,
before
like,
that, you would have played for England, wouldn't
I
you?
was having talks about, because I've got MS as well, I qualified for Physical Disability Rugby League, and I was speaking to someone just after I moved back from Canada about playing Physical Disability Rugby League. Now the irony of it is, I don't just qualify for Canada and England, I qualify for Wales as well, because Grandad was born in Wales, which makes it even more of a mess. But I wouldn't play for England or Wales. If Canada had a Physical Disability Rugby League team, I'd play for it. And that is purely out of the fact that I've declared for a country, I've played for that country. I'm not going to flip-flop and mix around now.
But I understand that, and I do appreciate that. My point being is, though, you played for Canada, but if England came knocking first...
If England had come knocking first, and I was good enough to play for England, yeah, because this is the country I was born in.
I'll answer that.
But
I would not... I've not played for any of them, just to let everyone know. I would have only played for England.
But because you see yourself as English, despite the heritage. Now, the problem you've got is, and this is, again, we're not trying to take away from what Jimmy's done, I don't want it to come across that way, but England didn't come knocking because England comes knocking for pro rugby players that play at Super League level. Canada don't have that ability to do that, so they went hunting and they went down levels and they went looking around.
They went down a few more levels than that.
I was being polite, right? And so, fantastic achievement for you, but they had to be able to do that. Imagine if they turned around and said, well, thanks for putting your name in the hat, James, but you're not really Canadian, because I know you've got a passport, but we're not buying that. You've lived in England for 29 of your 32 years, or 31 years, whatever the stats are, and we'll find somebody here because that's what we have to do. That would be a crying shame for you and your great achievement. It'd also be a crying shame for the sport, and you're just one example of an amateur player that got to achieve a massive thing. So I think that's what we've got to remember in this discussion. We can't be putting hard and fast rules down if we want the sport to continue growing and give people opportunities.
I think one thing would make it a lot easier, especially for pros. You've got, like you were saying about Payne Haas, he's played for Australia and now he's going to play for Samoa. did he pick Australia in the first place just because he was Australian, or did he pick Australia over Samoa in the first place because Australia were going to pay him 10 grand appearance fee and Samoa could only pay 1? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think players should be paid in any sport to play for the country.
I agree.
You should have your fees covered. You know, if it
it shouldn't cost you anything.
It shouldn't cost you anything. Like, you know, fair enough with us and, you know, the level that Canada are playing at financially as well as on the field. We paid. But if Payne Ass plays for Samoa, you shouldn't get paid anything.
I think the beauty of that, and I agree, is imagine the money that could go back into the sport. So if they don't have to pay a travelling squad of 23 a bonus or a salary for them games. On your point saying you wouldn't have played for them, I think I can add some insight as well, because as you all know, I never did go and play for Denmark. The false history books show that I was drunk and didn't turn up to the train-on squad and never even put myself in the shop window for Denmark. That is false. I chose not to play because I was holding out for England, okay? So that's the facts. Let's get it on record now.
Can we ask Susan to verify this after the
I did not turn up for the training.
We'll get one more in.
Can we do Gary?
Gary's back.
Yeah. Not do Gary, but do Gary's question.
Yes, Gary.
Gary.
Go on, Gary.
His question. Food question. Yes. After a 3-week hiatus, in brackets, annoyance after the Derby game and a holiday, what is your favourite cheese? Kraft cheese slices? A good old Stilton? If you could only eat one cheese for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That is a superbly solid question. I am all about that.
Go on,
and
then.
For me, it's halloumi.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I don't like halloumi.
I don't dislike it, but I wouldn't.
You've
pick
never
it.
had it barbecued. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not for me. And I also, it's one of them foods where everyone's like, oh, halloumi's amazing. Let me put my sweet chilli sauce on it and then I'm going to put it in my bag. I'm like, oh, so you mix it with everything else then to make it nice. Whereas my wife does sit and just have halloumi, do you know, and she'll have it beside of a plate. So, whereas for me, I'm a bit like, I don't mind it really if it's got that on it, but I'm not a big fan. I'm boring. I like your cheapest cheese single that you would buy from Asda in a pack of 10 for 19p that I can whack on a dirty burger.
Kraft
which
slices,
is basically
then.
But I want cheaper than Kraft. I want
nothing. Oh, we're on about Kraft as in the brand, like Kraft Heinz. There's nothing cheaper than shit Kraft slices.
Oh, is they not?
No.
You see, if they've got a knockoff, that's the one I want.
Yeah. For me, it'd have to be Red Leicester.
That was my second choice.
It would have to be cut into cubes, put on a cocktail stick with a sausage. Put an onion on there if you want, but I'm flicking it off because they're awful.
So you have to put it
Do
on
you
with
know,
something.
'cause I like a
I
bit
would
of Red
just eat it
Leicester.
on its own as well.
I like a bit of Red Leicester as well, but do you know if you was making Cherry Eddy? Do you remember Cherry Eddy?
Nope.
Do you ever call it that?
Yeah.
So if you was having mashed potato with cheese in, do you ever have that as a kid?
Oh, mashed potato with cheese in
Yeah, Cherry Eddy.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
What cheese would you have for that?
Mozzarella.
No, I'd go Red Leicester.
Red Leicester grated over it,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it
yeah.
pre-fingered.
Yeah,
You'd have
it
orange
could be
cheese,
great.
wouldn't you,
Yeah,
Red Leicester?
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
just
it's got a
grate
bit of a
over it.
nutty taste to it, so I would go with Red Leicester.
I normally put when I'm making my breakfast wraps when I'm doing my meal prep for the week. I always put mozzarella in me.
On your potato.
No, in my scrambled eggs. Put mozzarella in my scrambled eggs.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan
Oh,
of
so you
mozzarella
have Cherry
stuff.
Eggy?
Cherry Eggy.
Chili eggy, yeah.
Short Eggy.
Cherry Eggy. That wraps up Listeners' Lounge for this week.
That was a great question, though. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Keep
good
them
question.
coming. Now you stop sulking, Gary.
No, there won't be any more after next week. He's a Rovers fan, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll be too busy celebrating for
He
next year.
did bat. Just
So what was he
the
sulking
start.
after?
Wait, oh yeah, actually, I'm really sorry if I'm wrong there, Gary, but I'm assuming you're a Rovers fan.
He why was he sulking? He was fuming with how Hull played. Like he was.
Was
Remember
he a
that
Hull
game?
fan?
Oh, because
No,
we beat you
No,
up.
no,
We lost the game. but we
That
beat you
game
up,
where
didn't we?
Hull FC turned up to Craven Park, didn't play rugby for 80 minutes.
Oh, played UFC.
Yes.
Right.
That one.
Yeah.
He did say great podcast even with a camera issue. So this was after last week's. He had
think we
Rovers,
fixed
Rovers
that.
by 18. He said versus Saints.
It wasn't
And
a million miles away.
Going on that, Harry Robertson, he can shove his Young Player of the Year award that I was giving him last week up his backside because he cost me half a point on the prediction scoring that trial on.
Jez Litton can ram his Player of the Year award up his arse as well. Letting me down for
but
63 quid.
You've got is the wooden spoon in the box?
I didn't get it this week.
He's
No,
nailed on.
but you've got
No,
it.
it's
got
not
it.
finalised yet. Don't get it till next week.
Is there any way in
Nope.
which you can catch anyone up?
Same with the League Leader Shield. You do not lift it until after the fact.
And if me and him pick a different prediction this week, It's only one of us that can win.
We'll put it there.
It's like teasing me.
Teasing, yeah.
We'll point it at you.
But that wraps up Listeners Lounge, so we're going on to a bit of a grand final preview.
Yeah, I saw a stat earlier, and to be honest, I didn't really look at the sort of overall picture, but then when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, it was sort of like a realisation. Come Saturday, Rovers will have been in 4 of the last 6 major finals. And like, I didn't realise at the time, obviously I knew we were riding this crest of a wave of success and things like that, but I didn't realise it was 66% of the recent major finals.
Oh, yeah.
Which, to me...
It's not bad going, is it?
I've got wrote down here, absolute dreamland. Like, as I'm going to use a classic from X from on this week. As I walked out of the recreation ground after being battered by Whitehaven 51-0, and then having to travel 4.5 hours home or whatever it was, if you would have said to me there, in 20 years' time, whatever it is, you'll be in 4 of the 6 major finals, Super League and Challenge Cup, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have laughed at you when you said we was in Super League, never mind challenging for trophies. So, for me, it's just an absolute dreamland, that stat.
Yeah, it's going to be... It's an interesting week. I'm not as nervous as I've been previously. I know we discussed previous pod about looking back if we don't win at a missed chance. I'm going to make a little point about this in a second, but we've achieved so much this year, and it's maybe lowering me into a false sense of confidence. I'm not confident, but I'm not super nervous. I will be as the week goes on, as game day comes on, but look, we need to contain French and Field, that's a given. We're going into a massive game. We seem to be riding this crest of the wave. It just feels like the cards are falling our way this year, and it's giving me that confidence. We'd sold over 10,000 tickets before midnight on Saturday night. They only went on sale at 9 p.m. We're looking at the first grand final since 2017 that's going to have plus 70k there, it looks like. So it's going to be so good to have. It feels like a game.
It's needed for the sport.
And it's like
proper crowd.
A game that neutrals want to come to. I was spending some time earlier, I've got it here, just to remind myself of just how close last year's game was. The 9-2 scoreline, but a game where the possession was 50% each. A game where we made more meters than them and had more offloads. A game where they completed at 92% and we completed at 87%. You know, 2 good teams, they had 3 clean breaks, we had only 1. A game that was so tight and close, and I look at that game that was awful but fun at the same time, but nerve-wracking, and we didn't have enough. Where have we improved compared to where they've improved on a one-off game? Forgetting form, it's a one-off game. The areas that we've got players that are playing better, I think give us that chance to win. So I'm going in feeling quite confident in not we're going to win, but I think we'll give a good account of ourselves. And I don't expect it to be the same as last year. I think we will see a few more tries, maybe still low scoring. But the one thing I wanted to mention, and this is a shout out to Evie's cousin, to Nick. I mentioned him a while back as a York fan and what he's been going through. He reached out to me over the weekend and early this week to talk about what he's been through this year and the fact that York have lost their chance at a treble this weekend gone by. They've won the Cup, the 1895 Cup, they've won the league and they've lost in their playoff grand final. And he said it felt bitter. He said it was quite disappointing and he's been a little bit sulky over the last couple of days. And that he's sure in time to come he'll feel better about it, but it really bothered him. Because after going 20 games unbeaten and the season they've had, it really felt like that pinnacle. And I sort of sat there and thought, it is definitely comparable to what we're about to go for on Saturday night. Like, will it feel like that missed chance and what can we do? I still believe what I said to you last week, Dean, that it'll be disappointing on the night, but I'll walk away with a smile on my face for what we've achieved this year.
A couple of weeks later, you'll sit back, you'll have a beer in your hand at home and you'll go, that was really good, actually.
Yeah.
Once you've got over a possible loss in the final. Yeah.
I think your older heads will have less of an issue with trying to comprehend it all, because I think they'll look back. Maybe you'll have your dad, for example, like, how long's he been watching Rovers and how many times can he look at a season and think it's been this good? And even if it ends in defeat at Old Trafford, he will surely still be able to look at that and think, Jesus, what a season. But on the same vein, like to the younger fans that haven't experienced this, people of our age and younger, lap it up, enjoy it, take it all in, be grateful for what you're experiencing at the minute, because 4 finals out of 6, it's horrible to hear that as an FC fan. Believe me, it really is, because of how, not just because of how bad we've been recently, but I don't want you guys to be successful. Well, not that bloody successful anyway. But yeah, just soak it up, just lap it up. The end of the day on Saturday it'll be what it'll be, and the result of it won't change anything. This year has been hugely successful for Old Kingston Rovers, and you will look back on this in 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time and think, that's brilliant. But what you also got to understand is, like what Craig said, 51-0 defeat against Whitehaven, it chops and changes, and it does it quick. So appreciate it while you've got it.
Yeah, I'd have killed to have been in the position of some of the younger Rovers fans where they've maybe been following Rovers for 5, maybe 10 years.
Oh mate, there's 40, 50-year-olds in the stands that are in that situation.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I'm not far off 40 now, but that's what I mean. Like, we would kill to be in their position, like, to have success.
No, you wouldn't, because it means more to you guys.
Well, yeah,
but it's like the young, it's like the young Man City fans. All they've known is success.
Yeah, true.
I think the point you made there about 4 of the last 6 finals, obviously very recent, but one thing I've already took away from this year, it came to me after we'd won the Challenge Cup, before the league leaders, before we've made the grand final. I wasn't 100% in the belief that the club had started this journey to become a Saints, a Wigan, a Bradford, because you have to start somewhere where you have historic success over many years. I'm really firmly aboard that ship now. We haven't done it. I'm not saying that. Don't jump at the comments at me. We have to win some more things. We have to be up there for another 5 to 10 years. But there wasn't flash in the pans. There have been teams that have won the league, gone to a grand final, dropped off. There have been teams that have won a Challenge Cup here and there, but haven't been able to sustain it. It does feel like we've made the right steps and are continuing to build. And we do sort of feel like that team that you'll see next year challenging. And it'll be a bit of a shock if we are at the grand final or the Challenge Cup final, or if we are at the very least in a playoff semi-final, and the year after. And that's really promising to see that and it will change, because that's sport for you. It goes in ebbs and waves, so it will be after 10 years we might drop again, but it does feel like we have set up for at least a sustained period of success or near success for 10, 15 years, and that's so good as a club to be a part of.
I think where you're at right now, for me, you're on a par with, in terms of longevity, Hull FC and Warrington. Those teams, we did it sort of for a little while, where we were up there, and then it's like 16, 17, it's like bang, bang, we got them 2 cup wins. Maybe not so much in the league like you have done. I think you've surpassed us in that. And then you've had Warrington, where they've come and they've been there, and they've been there, and they've been there, but they've nearly, and then they've won the odd trophy here and there. You have to, I think, with the team that you've got next year, keep that. Because if you fall down even 1 or 2 pegs next year, all it takes is for one player to lose belief, jump ship. Another player, he's leaving, I'm jumping. And that's when your team starts falling apart again. And that's when you end up in this cyclical sort of place where we are at the minute, where we get a bit of success, and someone leaves, and then a couple more leave, and then the team we get to replace them don't fill the gap. And then we end up down where we are now, and then in another 5-6 years, we'll probably win another cup somewhere, somehow, and then it'll just be one, and then players, you know what I mean? And I think what you've got is exactly what you said, though. You are set up for it, because next season I look at the players that are leaving and the players that are arriving at Rovers, and I don't think anyone that's leaving ain't been replaced by a better player.
I think it's a good sort of insight, Jimmy. I don't disagree with much of it. I think that, yeah, my point is more, I can feel it now that it's going to happen over coming years, and we won't do that drop out of form a bit and be up and down. And don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away from your guys' achievements, but 2 Challenge Cups is different to winning the league and then going to the grand finals. And that's why it feels like I'm like, well, actually, lose on Saturday, I don't think we will. I'm hoping we don't, but if we do, it's like, well, I think we can be there next year. And I think we'll be challenging again next year.
Next year's a different base,
and the year
isn't
after.
You've got to incorporate the trip to Vegas, and we've seen how much that has. I think that's affected Wigan and Warrington massively this year. Wigan have timed it. Maybe we'll find out to perfection. Maybe we'll find that out on Saturday, or if they're not. Warrington, I think that killed their season. So you and Leeds have got that to contend with next year. So that'll be different. How do you build into the season? Do you go off like an house on fire like you did this season? Is it going to affect you in the cup run? Are you going to give that up? Just go for not give it up, but are you going to concentrate more on the league than that? So it's totally different next year.
It's not even just Vegas. If you win on Saturday, there's a high chance that there'll be a World Club Challenge game. And when's that fixture getting squeezed in? Is it getting squeezed in whilst everyone else is playing a Super League fixture, and then you have to add an extra fixture in later in the season to make up for it? Or, like what's happened in the past? That's a second disruption to the season. So there's a lot of potential next year to disrupt.
Yeah, it will test our squad depth, because that's what we'll need to do. But what an achievement it'll be. If it's Rovers are playing Brisbane in the World Cup Challenge.
You won't care if it affects you for the rest of that season. You will have gone to Vegas and you'll have played in a World Club Challenge.
Well, look at what Wigan have done this year.
If it does affect you.
They took over our. You've seen the Rovers now F off home chant. You've seen the champions now F off home, and they've got to sing that and go over that all year long, because you are that champion all year long. Wouldn't matter if Rovers came out and was bottom next year. It'd be awful. It wouldn't happen. But if it did, we'd still be champions for the full year. So that's the thing that you've got to. It's that longevity. So
I don't want you chanting that as.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it?
Thing is, well, we say to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And you have to go through these tough times to prove that you are the best. Nobody learns anything by having it easy. We need to do it tough. We need to show we can do it tough, and then kick on from there. That's for next season. Like you say,
we jumped the gun a bit talking about next season, but yeah, it's about Saturday, innit? So
well, it is. I'll have one question then about next season, potential question, because I know Josh is saying he's going into this and he thinks you're going to win. So we'll go on the basis that you win. How confident are you coming up against them Broncos?
Oh, Morg will have Walsh in his back pocket, no doubt, yeah. I'm about as confident with that as I am for facing the Aussies in the Ashes.
So you're going to get smashed.
And bearing in mind, I've said Australia could send a third string team and still turn us over.
To be fair, some of their players are third choice.
Well,
even this season, and it looks
scary.
Scary. Yeah. So anyway,
shall we? You got any more to add?
I've just got one final point, obviously. Ticket sales. So the last team from Wigan 3 days ago, they've not had anything since, was they were at 10,000 club tickets.
Was that on Saturday?
So 3 days ago, yeah, that'll be on Saturday. So within 24 hours. Rovers posted earlier on today, I believe it was. We sold our initial allocation of 10. They gave us another 5 and was only 1,000 away from selling that out as well. So as it stands, we're at 14,000.
Plus fans that have bought.
Fans who have bought through the RFL already and things like that. So, but it does.
I don't care how many each year take, as long as. Well, I hope we don't have a Warrington what they took to the cup final in June or whenever it was. I just hope we see a big crowd
from both sides,
full seats, all seats full, should I say? And yeah, just it looks better for the sport. We're trying to show we're a big sport. We're trying to show we can match it with the top sports in this country. Half-empty stadiums don't help that, especially on the biggest game of our season. So.
Yeah. So we're going to have to talk about this. This is breaking news for us right now.
Especially after what Dean's just said.
We have just learned who the Super League Young Player of the Year award has gone to. And you can tell by the jubilant faces of my FC co-hosts over here.
It's a joke, that.
It's gone to Harry Robertson of the St Helens.
He
was my choice. Last week when we did our own awards, he was my choice.
I don't know if I'm looking at it through black and white tinted specs, because obviously I'm not really wearing them, but I can't not look through them. Lewis Martin has to win that. Am I wrong in saying that?
The selectors are watching, and they couldn't find FC in the playoffs. Yet what they did see was Robertson break 7 tackles last week and take Saints through to a semi, and they've gone, he can play. And someone goes, Lewis Martin. They go, Lewis Martin? Oh. That's the only presumption I've got.
Yeah. So this is that decision. In my opinion, I don't know how recently it's been made. Obviously, it's been announced tonight. I think that decision should be made before the first playoff game, and I hope it has been. But judging by the result of it, I don't think it has been.
That stops at the end of the season.
Man of Steel stops before.
Well, Man of Steel's not a decision to be made, is it? It's points.
But yeah, so shocking one there, but there's some late news for you. Shall we start to wrap down?
Yeah, we might get the man of steel before the end of this, but
We won't.
Yeah, you
Craig's time to shine.
Thanks for the introduction, Dino.
Do you know?
Just because we was on that, no. So only one game this week to predict, and that is our good selves versus the Wigan Warriors at Old Trafford on Saturday. I ain't actually got anything locked in for this because I'm tussling head and heart. I really don't know which way to go.
Well, you better hurry up.
You can go last if you want. Don't make
Can I
a
go
difference.
last this time?
Well,
I've
you're finishing bottom.
I've lost anyway, so yeah, go on, Josh.
Let the two at the top.
Yeah,
Decide.
After you, sir.
Thank you. I will be going for Rovers. I do think there's definitely a heart versus head conversation there, but I don't think it's out the realm as a possibility. We have been the best club this year consistently, or across the year I should say. Not every week we have been, but given the whole year we've shown what we can do. I was pleased with how we turned around on Saturday night. I was particularly pleased with our first half. Second half, a little bit lacking at times, but it looks like we'd reignited that fire. We're going to have a full-strength squad to pick from, barring potentially Mickey Mack, who looks like he maybe still isn't right. I think we've got as good a chance, obviously, as any. It's still just Wigan. But when I watched Wigan beat Lee, and I watched them not get to play the ball in Lee's half in their playoff game last week for the first 38 minutes or something stupid, Lee just didn't take the chances. And they just didn't do what needed to be done to get over the line. And that's not to discredit Wigan, but I just think we're better at planning than that. And it just feels to be something in the air. And to go back to your point earlier, Dean, at the end of the game, the way we was like, congratulated the fans, but we was business, we was in, it just felt different, and it felt like we still had that mentality. Like, Peters had finally got everyone to buy into it as a player and say, this ain't done. Your celebration's next Saturday night, not this Saturday night. And it just gives me that more confidence to say, while it's heart-led, I think Rovers can actually do it. Whereas last year, I don't know what I predicted last year. I wasn't in your predictions league. I was just helping host. But I think I probably would have gone Rovers just heart only. That means I'm going to go for Rovers by 4.
I thought you were going to say Wigan. Just to take the piss.
Warrington by 7.
I agree with pretty much everything you said then, apart from the Lee didn't take the chances. I agree with that. And you say you're better at planning than Lee are. I think as the last 2 months, Lee have been probably the best side in attack. Stats are probably wrong, probably. So I think Wigan did a very good job to stop them. There's a reason only 4 teams have won this grand final, and as much as I think you guys have got as good a chance as Wigan of lifting that trophy, that's where my decision has been swayed. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to say I would not. Rovers have won the grand final and I'll be shocked. No, not at all. I just think every time I've gone for a team like Warrington to get there, for Warrington going to win it this year, when they played Leeds or they got beat by Wigan and there was 15 points up or whatever it was, and Wigan come back and done it. There's a reason 4 teams have only done it, and I just can't get that out of my head. So yeah, I'm going Wigan by 5.
Don't forget we're allowed forward passes, Rovers, so that's going to give us the edge.
Yeah,
a couple of touchdowns their way.
7, yeah.
I'm actually really pissed off that you've picked Wigan, because the only way that I can win this league is if I get 1.5 more points than someone else. So you both had to pick Rovers for me to win this league. On saying
me
that,
and Josh now then.
I am still going with Wigan. I believe that full strength, best performances from both sides, I think Wigan edge it. And I say edge it because I mean edge it. And that is, you've got a magical player in Mikey, but you ain't got 2 magic players like they have in Field and French. And that's not me saying that Morgan a decent fullback, but he ain't no Jai Field in my opinion.
No, because Morgan can do it all, whereas Field's just fast.
Is that when he falls for a dummy from a winger? Yeah. He's
For
still on his way to
that
shots.
undeserved try.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to go Wigan, and just to keep Mike Cable happy, I'm going to go by 7.
7.
And just before you go in, Craig, there was we was on Umberside a couple of months ago, weren't we? Before the derby, after the derby, and Paul Cook was on with us, and he said Wigan would have taken more out of that last league game with you because they was missing French, Thompson, and you didn't struggle to get past them, but Wigan would have taken just as much out of that game as what you did, knowing that they can push you close without a full strength squad. You said the same, or relatively to the effect, after your league game at home where you didn't have Mikey and you pushed them close. Now we've got 2 full strength teams against each other. We will now see who is the best team out of you two.
And that's exactly what we've got. And I think when we was talking to Cookie, one of the things that I'd said was that I really like the insight on that point. But what we take away from it, it's hard to quantify. But this year's been a big deal about getting monkeys off our back. That win after 40 years, raising the cup, great. To win the league leaders, fantastic. It shows that we can be consistent and we can do it, and that we're not going to be bottlers. It was winning away at Wigan. People sort of wrote that off afterwards. I was like, well, anyone can win at Wigan. FC did it. Yeah, great. FC didn't make the playoffs. Oh, well, Wigan also lost to Saints. Saints won that game. Yeah, again, Saints are now out. It was different for us. It was a big deal. This is a club that's come through to this peak that I was saying about trying to sustain this level of performance and hopefully success. It's them continued learnings and putting faith in what Peters takes away from it in the coaching squad. And what Wigan might take away from that, I agree, was we know how to get their number. They only just beat us. What we took away from it was we aren't scared of Wigan anymore. And that's why I think it's given us that extra little boost. So it's going to be a cracker of a game.
It will be. Go on then, Craig.
Finish
off.
Susan is actually given me a score prediction. So he's gone for Rovers by 4 and he's gone 10-6. So
no word of a lie, when I put by 4, I was thinking 10-6.
Oh, well.
It's because you got the same dad.
So Wigan.
I'm going to go out on a limb here because it doesn't mean anything. I'm going to go for Rovers by 14.
Oh, right. I thought he was going to say Wigan then.
No, I'm going to go by 14. Because
you are really kind of set up for this, by the way.
Why not?
Like, just the more I keep thinking about it, Challenge Cup final, you didn't look like winning that, and then bang, you win it. Last kick, Davis, or near enough last kick, Davis try. League leaders, class, and then you did everything in your might the last 8 games of the season.
That's exactly how it felt.
Throw it away. And then even, like, and coming into the playoffs, you've come into the playoffs on poor form because of that. You've done other saying, so different proposition because they didn't really throw a hell of a lot your way. They weren't great. But now it just kind of feels, and it's going to be really upsetting to watch it. It just kind of feels like the tables, like you said, are just falling right.
You're touching on what I'm trying to describe, and I can't quantify it. Talking to a guy at work, shout out to Livy about this the other day, right? He's like, doesn't it just feel like we've got this? I was like, yeah, I don't know what it is.
It feels like you've got it because it shouldn't feel like you've got it.
Yeah, because we haven't been that team that we was in the first half of the season. And the Challenge Cup was like such a tense game that it could have gone either way. And the league leaders, we should have wrapped up earlier potentially, but we lost a couple of games we really shouldn't have lost. There's just this feeling in the air that we'll know on Saturday night. You know, we might lose, fine, that's sport, that's part of the beauty of it. But there's just this, and I can't put it into proper words, but yeah, it's like, yeah, it's how we're here.
So I'm in a bit of a weird situation going to watch this game because in reality,
you're secretly a Rovers fan.
No, in reality,
you have got his ticket, haven't you?
Yeah, of course I have.
In reality, I don't want you to win. I really don't. You've had enough, and I don't want to put all 3 trophies on the bloody Bragging Rights podcast next season because they'll all be on your side. 2 things. One, in a way, I kind of do hope you win because for the game and for the league to see another team's name on that trophy instead of the same bullshit 4 teams that we've had for the last 30 years would be fantastic for the sport. And secondly, I'm having spinal surgery on Thursday, and if Wigan win, I'm going to pop that disc straight back out.
This is why, though, I think a lot of people, despite Rovers becoming a bit unlikable nowadays, that's what happens when teams are successful, a lot of, I would say, not casual fans, a lot of neutral fans whose teams are out of it, we're all saying, or teams from lower leagues, not in Super League, saying, the ideal situation is a League Rovers final, because we're guaranteed a new name. And you can't really argue with that. And obviously now, it's can we do one? Can we get that name on the trophy that hasn't been done by anyone else in such a long time? So I hope we can. I feel confident we'll do everything we can in our power. Let's just see how it goes. It's a game of rugby and anything can happen.
It's all we can do, innit? Just turn up and up. It goes our way. There's nothing we can do about it.
It's incredible though, looking at it. I know Bradford won some, but I don't think they played anybody other than Saints, Wigan or Leeds in a final. So there's always been Leeds, Saints or Wigan in a final, in the grand final. We're on is it the 30th one now? Or is it
32?
That's incredible.
On a final note, Bevan French, if you can pop to Mans sometime on Friday, I promise I'll let you back out. Just need to show you some garden work I need doing.
Wrap us up, Josh.
Yeah, seriously, Bevan. As always, we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Comscaf, and thank you to the home of the pod, Tribal, for hosting us. Fairly long one tonight, it feels, but that's how comfortable we get.
Hour and 50.
Yeah, when we're sat here. And a lot to talk about and a big game coming, but thank you to both of them. Just going to drag this on a little bit because I think Dean needs the toilet, so I'm going to see how long I can ramble for.
Just before you actually close, we're not just we're not just getting the grand final result next week. Next episode, we'll also be able to confirm the makeup of next season Super League.
There'll be a lot next week. We'll know the result of our own individual predictions league. We'll know who's won.
Me and
Dean. We'll know who's lost.
Have you got the forfeit in mind? Do you know what you're doing?
I'll never tell.
No, I'm not.
Are we announcing it next week though?
That's what I mean. Have you decided? I've decided if I win.
Okay.
All right.
I've decided if he wins.
So yeah, we'll be able to talk about that. We'll be able to obviously talk about the grand final, the outcome of that. We'll be able to talk about what's going on with the announcement of the Man of Steel, talk about the Super League structure for next year and so on. So there'll be a lot to pick up on. And so we won't be going off your screens or out of your ears too soon. There's still some work to go. And then following on from that, we will be doing a few episodes around the Ashes before we go into our off-season. So stay tuned. So yeah, as I was saying, thank you to Tribal, thank you to Comscaf. Please remember to like and subscribe, share an episode with your mates, with your family, and help us out by keeping us going. We do appreciate it. And so I suppose after that, if there's nothing else to add...
Just one more thing. How funny would it be if, now that it's been cleared, Jared just cleaned somebody's head off in the 79th minute?
Or just as a Ben Flower in the first minute and punches French. Or Field, if you can get him, but Field's so
Not
quick.
that I advocate violence.
It's bound to happen. He's playing, but he's getting sent off. On that note, see you bye.
See you bye.
See you, bye.
See you, bye.